We
check 1 2. Check 1 2. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to VidaneTV. Back at it on a Tuesday night here with the Liberty Racing Elite Series once again for race number 7 in this season. Going to be a great race here at the iRacing Super Speedway, and I am not here alone. Showtime Paul Strickland Jr., as always, in the, well, not really a production trailer, in the Hogue B&B spare bedroom this evening, but we're still going to have ourselves a show. And like I said, I'm not alone. I brought another ginger with me up here in the booth. He's actually downstairs in the living room. Kyle Young, Dr. Race Chaser. Been a long time, brother. How we feeling?
Paul, I could not be better. You're not kidding. It has been so long. I could even put a date on when I have been on VidaneTV. But my goodness, is it great to be back? Great to be here with you, physically and through the broadcast. Super excited for this one. It has been a long time since I've been a part of the Liberty Racing League, but I am good friends with a lot of people in the league, so I've been keeping track and I've been in the loop as to what's going on. We should be in for a great show here tonight at the iRacing Super Speedway.
And what's even cooler, got a new tricks and new tools here at VidaneTV. You can check out the website, vidane.tv/scoring. And you can see that, well, it looks like we're wrecking on the pace laps here, so we're going to have to get that all sorted out and get that fixed up and get everybody re-racked and restacked and figure out what is going on there. But you can follow along with your favorite drivers, vidane.tv/scoring. And as it looks, Kyle, it looks like you can get that up on a tablet.
Absolutely so. That's what we're doing down here with trying to come up with a multi-screen setup. That's typically what I'm able to use at home, but since we're on the road traveling, we got to improvise a little bit. But got it right up next to me, man. It is looking crisp. It is clean. It is perfect to read. Could not ask for anything better. This is definitely something that you guys are going to want to check out if you want a little bit of an in-depth look as to what's going to be going on here tonight. Very good piece of software, and I'm excited to have it help me throughout this one here tonight.
Going to send it on through. We're taking a look at the qualifying order as they go across your screen there. You can see all of the different paint schemes, just as you can see on that timing and scoring. And that's always brought to us by Wingnut Productions. Ashton Reiki jumping on board with that. And you can see everybody lined up 2 by 2. The pace car's already getting ready to pull off. Brother, we are getting ready to go green here at iRacing Super Speedway.
That we are, Paul. The field racked up, ready to go. 200 miles, 80 laps around the iRacing Super Speedway. The green flag has flown into the atmosphere, and we are off and running here with the Liberty Racing League. A great start from Cody Neagles, your pole sitter. He's going to jump out to an early race lead, but the caution immediately flies, Paul. That did not take long at all.
Yeah, this is one of those, it's actually a fictional racetrack that came, well, I don't think we're supposed to talk about where it came from, but we can talk about it. I can talk about it because I used to race this track back in NASCAR Racing 2003 Speedway. It was actually coined the Coca-Cola Speedway, and it's a 3-mile-long super speedway, again, fictional. Came out of the mindset of somebody, the imagination, rather, of somebody back in the day. So it was kind of cool to see that a lot of those folks that worked with Papyrus and the NASCAR Racing 2003 title got picked up by the iRacing folks, and it was neat to kind of see this racetrack get snuck into the back door.
Yeah, super cool to see this on the service. It's been around for a handful of years now, but it's really, as far as I'm concerned, probably outside of some of the rallycross tracks that are on the service, which are built on real racing tracks. This is still the only fictional iRacing track on the platform, so it's very unique, very an interesting place to race. As you guys can see from watching on here on VidaneTV, if you're not familiar with this track is truly insane. It is huge, it is wide, it is insanely banked, and because of that, it's actually very tricky to make the outside lanes work. With as much banking that is at this racetrack, it is super bottom down in the turns. Usually, if you're looking at a track like Daytona or Talladega, if you have enough help on those upper grooves, you can make that work. As you can see, we're on board here. I believe this is with our race leader, Cody Neagles. You can see just how insane that banking was. It is super, super steep, and because of how steep it is, it makes it very challenging to make those outside lines work in the corners. Now, granted, it could help you develop a run coming off of the corner, and these straightaways are also super long, so you have enough time to you build momentum and use that momentum to hopefully try to clear those trucks down on the inside lane before you get back to the corners. But if you don't have the help, you are going to find yourself in trouble if you're on those upper grooves coming off of the corner and onto the straightaway. You need the help. You need to have good drafting assistance behind you if you're going to try to make something happen here off of the bottom lane.
Really got to pay attention to that fuel pressure gauge as well, because you figure Daytona 2.5 miles, Talladega 2.66 miles. You got a little bit of extra distance to get around a lap here, and you figure from start to finish line to start to finish line, or start line to finish line, as it were, that's 3 miles, and that's a lot of fuel that these trucks will have to burn up here, even under caution. That's one of the things we're really going to have to focus in on throughout the evening here, because these guys in the Liberty Racing League, I believe it's a 60% fuel load that they're able to take on each of these pit stops in the original start of the race. So you saw how long it took to catch up to that pace car when that caution came out there right after the green flag. So a lot of fuel mileage going to be getting into this one. I don't know what this track surface really does to the tires on these trucks. It's been a long time. It was probably NASCAR Racing 2003 season was the last time I raced this particular track many moons ago. So I don't know how it is, but these drivers are some of the best in the business as far as super speedway racing goes, and it's going to be a lot of fun to see how these guys tackle it up. There you see the lights on the pace car have been shut off, lined up 2 by 2 all the way through. Let's try it again.
We'll give it another shot here. Only 2 laps complete, so hardly anything burned off under this caution period, which we like to see. We want to see more opportunities for green flag racing. Pace car will duck down out of the safety of pit road, leave the field in control by Cody Neagles once again. We'll see if we can get things rocking and rolling here at the iRacing Super Speedway. The green flag is out once again. Everybody shifting the trucks, throttle to the floor, trying to get these things up to speed. James Pileski, the outside pole sitter there, he's able to quickly drop down behind Cody Neagles. The first 5 or 6 trucks are going to go single file entering turn number 1 before we have our first side-by-side going on behind that.
Neagles, Pileski, Thompson, DuPont, and Foskey, the top 5 as they run. Wes Hogue back there, P6. McKay, Ziegler, Yost, and James, the top 10. 25 trucks making the call here this evening. 25 taking that green flag, and it looks like everybody's still out in this one. Couple of trucks might have got a little bit of damage there on that initial green flag. It's been so long since you and I have done this together. I'm tripping all over my words, Kyle.
And I was coming into this worrying if I was going to be doing that tonight. You got to set a good influence on me here, Paul. You've been the staple for VidaneTV. You got to have that positivity to rub off on me here. As we come off at turn number 4 down the front straightaway, we'll get our first green flag lap completed here. The majority of the field kind of single filed out there pretty early, and you can see some separation amongst the first 7 trucks or so. Not a ton of separation, but if these guys can stay cooperative, stay in line, they may be able to separate themselves from that group if that group behind is not able to get organized quite as well. Pileski sticking that right front out just a little bit there in the corners, trying to get some air, trying to get a little breathing room, making sure that he's not too dangerously close to Cody Neagles there on the point, just trying to ride and log some laps here. And as I mentioned, Paul, those top 7 trucks or so, they're already starting to separate themselves from the field quite dramatically here in just a lap and a half.
100%. You can check in with all of our social media platforms as well. We're on Twitter, TikTok, we're on Facebook, Instagram, all that good stuff. We're on Twitch, and we're live everywhere that we can be. So far, be sure to jump in the chats. It's always cool under caution every once in a while, or after a driver wrecks, they usually end up popping in the YouTube chat and just kind of debriefing with the fans and with us just a little bit. So you never know who's going to pop in to that YouTube chat. Just pick up the YouTube page, youtube.com/VidaneTV/live, and you'll be able to get it right up there on the big screen as well. If you've got a smart TV, a tablet, laptop, whatever device you may look, you can see the 6 car of Neagles truck drifting up just a little bit, but James Pileski staying square right on that back bumper. He's trying to push that tailgate just a little bit further, and you can see how well that front pack of about 8 trucks, they're hooked up bumper to bumper, nose to tail all the way through, and they're starting to pull away from that second pack.
Yeah, and they're doing so dramatically, Paul. We've only been green for 2 laps here, and that gap between those 2 packs is significant, and it's only going to continue to grow. This front pack very well lined up, and as soon as I say that, there's a truck that ducks to the outside. But behind them, that second pack there, all sorts of scattered and splattered across this racing surface as you ride on board here with Cody Neagles. Now watch what I was talking about earlier here, folks. See how intense intense that banking is as he enters the corner. We've seen over the last couple laps here, some of these guys, they're bouncing off of that yellow line, trying to stay off of it and stay away from the apron because of how abrupt that transition change is from the front stretch banking to the corner banking. It's very easy, especially when you're running down on the bottom side, to kind of over-exaggerate your corner entry and bounce off of that apron. That could be very, very dangerous at these speeds and with these race trucks. So that's something that these guys are going to have to be paying very close attention to. Things are calm. It's in the early going right now. It doesn't seem like anybody's getting too aggressive or too excited with what they're doing, but I'm already seeing a lot of these guys starting to bounce off of that apron, Paul. Definitely something they're going to want to be paying attention to when the action gets a little more intense towards the end of this race.
Yeah, I remember racing this track back in the day on another platform, and the best description of this place I was able to ever get was from a fellow who called himself Lugox, and he'd always say, "Man, this is like a 3-mile bull ring," and it kind of is. You've got that steep banking in the corners. It levels out just a little bit on the straights, but you can see as they thunder down the back straights, there's still some banking up in there that you have to fight with. And obviously the quickest way around the racetrack is always going to be on the bottom side of the track, but you've got so much room and so much banking up top. If you're able to get a second or third pack hooked up bumper to bumper and really push the guy up in front of you, we end up with some 2, 3, 4, 5 wide racing here at this 3-mile super speedway. It's a lot of fun to watch.
And you talk about that wide racing, this surface, you could do that comfortably. Okay, if you're watching a NASCAR race at a super speedway, 3 wide at Daytona is usually pretty comfortable. 4 wide is where it gets a little sketchy. Talladega, 4 wide is usually pretty comfortable. At this racetrack, those 3 and 4 wides, that's child's play here. You could probably fit 6 or 7 trucks wide, to be completely honest with you, before you're starting to get to that point of like, this is a little nutty. But like I said at the top of the program, because of the banking being as steep as it is, it's really, really challenging to get those upper grooves to work in. Obviously, right now, we're not really seeing that as we have 2 separate packs, and I think over the last lap or so, that second pack has started to kind of single file their way out. They know that they're kind of in trouble right now. But later on, and as you can see, they've recognized the situation at hand here. They've lost some ground, so now they're going to try to work their way back up and try to close that gap here over this green flag run. But if they are able to do that, that's when some guys are probably going to start to get a little bit more experimental with the upper grooves and try to race for position a little more.
Yeah, you can see some of these guys doing a little bit of homework here at this point. They know they've got over 70 laps to go in this one. So you're going to see some of these guys in this second pack kind of break up just a little bit, maybe hook up with a teammate or a friend that they've done some drafting practice with before, and kind of see just how long it takes. Your 2 cars or trucks rather much quicker than 1, and 5 trucks in line, they're going to be quicker than 2. So that's going to be something we're going to be seeing a lot of early on in this one, really for the first 3 quarters of this race. Just kind of backing up, seeing how long it takes to close that gap, maybe a half a second, maybe up to 9/10 of a second or so. The draft in these trucks, once they get a hole punched in the air, you can really sniff it for, I think it used to be about 1.1, maybe 1.2 seconds back that you would still be able to suck up the draft. So these guys are doing everything they can to try and figure out where that sweet spot is and just how long it's going to take to make that run so they can time it out at the end of the race.
That upper lane starting to really develop here in this second pack. They were single file and working with each other quite well, but apparently they have thrown that strategy out the window, and now they're going to race it up here in the second pack. We're riding on board with the lead truck of that outside line, and look at the momentum he's able to get. He charges off of that top side. He's got great help behind him. There's 6 trucks in that upper groove, and because of the higher banking, the higher up the racetrack that you go, they take that, and now they've got 3 trucks completely clear of that inside line. They will be able to drop down here to the bottom, make that 4 trucks. So how about that outside line? They work together. They get a great run off of turn number 2, and they get 4 of the 6 trucks able to clear and go down to the bottom side of the racetrack heading into turn number 3. So now they're kind of a little bit more organized after they made that move there. So maybe there is some cooperation in that. Some of the guys thinking they're a little bit more competitive than some of the other trucks that were up at the front. They wanted to get there and see if they could lead this group a little bit better to hopefully catch down the leaders here throughout the run.
Speed of the leaders, we check back in. They are still hooked up nose to tail. A little bit of snake action going on here. You can see a lot of these guys are going to dip high, dip low, get a little bit of air on the nose of that truck, make sure that they don't overheat or anything like that. We have mechanical failures here in iRacing now. We've seen blown motors, we've seen blown tires, so really having to take care of your stuff. And Cody Neagles in that 6 truck doing exactly that. I believe he's led all 12 laps so far here in this one. James Pileski in second, Scott Thompson, Robert DuPont, and Jason Foskey going to be the top 5 as they run. And Kyle, I'm looking at the wingnut timing and scoring here. Once again, VidaneTV/scoring if you want to follow along at home. We had that quick caution right after the green flag lap. We had about 8-9 trucks or so come down pit road and top off. That's going to be huge if this thing goes green early on in this one. If we don't get a yellow flag, or even if we do, we saw it this past Sunday at Daytona with the fuel mileage race, the Toyotathon, as it were. If you've got that extra lap of fuel, that's huge because that's going to be about 6 laps.
Yeah, without a doubt. I'm not exactly sure what the fuel window is for these guys here tonight, but if we get long green flag runs, that is going to become the name of the game. It's not anything out of the ordinary now with super speedway racing. These guys are going to want to spend as little time on pit road as you possibly can, and when you see this separation between this first and the second pack, that is going to be incredibly important. Some of these guys in the front pack, they're probably thinking to themselves, hey, if this thing stays green, yes, we've got a decent group right here. What can I do to maybe limit that as we get further into the race? Because, of course, while you do want drafting help throughout the race, once you get towards the end of the race, you're not really looking for a ton of drafting help. You're just trying to find some quality drafting help. And if you can eliminate some of your opponents to better your chances at getting the victory, you're certainly going to want to take that. As we have our first lead change of the night here, Cody Neagles, it looks like he did that on purpose. He kind of got out of the bottom lane. He's going to drop to the back of the pack and put James Pileski up at the front of this lead group. He'll drop, Cody Neagles, that is, will drop to the very back. It looks like he'll slot in position number 7, and he's going to ride now with some trucks in front of him for the first time here tonight.
They have a little bit of fuel in that 6 truck out front. We made mention for all of the laps so far. That's going to hand the lead over to James Pileski in that 93 truck. Hard to miss him. He's got that paint scheme on all the different cars and vehicles that he runs, that bright green, bright pink. As a commentary guy, I did get the LASIK surgery back in 2020. But I feel like it's starting to wear off already. So having those bright green, bright pink trucks and cars, very, very helpful here in the booth. And speaking of helpful, this second lane is starting to get it sorted out here, being led by the 46 there of Overstreet. You can see the Yeti Coolers truck working really, really well with that Coors Light truck. I wonder if those guys are teammates.
I mean, those two things go together very, very well. So it would only make sense if the branding was as cooperative as those two products are on a nice summer day on a weekend. And yeah, you just mentioned it, and I'm starting to see it now myself here. The cooperation between the two, or between this second group, is definitely working out. They are dramatically closing in on that lead group, and it helps that they have more trucks. I think that first group, only about 7 or 8 trucks. I think this second pack is looking at about 9 or 10 trucks. So give them a few more laps here. We should see them catch up, and then who knows what they decide to do after that. Those lead trucks in that group, remember, just a handful of laps ago, they used the outside groove to make passes on those trucks that were initially leading that pack. So if they can catch that lead group, get some momentum built up, and try to use that slingshot effect, maybe they go to the top side and try to propel themselves up to the very front of this field rather than just the front of the second pack.
I see that. Oh, caution flag going to fly. They're going to bring out the caution. I believe that was Pileski involved. Indeed, it was. There you see the Lexus truck. That's going to be Michael Ziegler of the 05 involved in that one. We'll see if... Okay, well, we're going to do the instant replay the old-fashioned way, because I forgot to pack my button box yet again. Doing these remote shows is always difficult when you don't bring all of your gear. But we'll take a look at the U-House Racing Designs instant replay, and we saw Pileski was involved. He gets down on the apron, gets on the apron twice, and it just unfortunately loses that 93 truck. Big-time T-bone there from that Lexus truck. That's going to be big-time damage for the 93. You can see comes up the racetrack, but it I was almost going to call it a self-cleaning track, but there you see he grabbed the gear in the center lane and was able to get rolling once again. I do believe these guys have one quick repair that they're able to utilize throughout the race as they see fit, but that's one of those things, Kyle. You really want to try and keep that in your back pocket for later on in the race.
No question about it. We get our first caution here, and as I mentioned earlier, Paul, with that apron and driver staying off it, there's our first victim of it right there. The one thing I didn't really make mention of, though, is with the sharp banking from the straightaways, is that it leaves a very, very nasty angle from the apron to that banking. You saw that there. Pileski, he touched it. He got a little sideways. He tried to save it, but in that effort, he ended up hitting it again. You hit it twice, and around he goes. So, fortunately, like you said, I do believe these guys do have a quick repair. Obviously, you don't want to use it this early, but it is in the back pocket. So, depending on what the damage is with that truck, maybe he can decide to use it, not use it, whatever. And here we go. Part of that fuel strategy stuff that you were talking about, Paul, these guys going to take advantage of the caution flag, get the fuel the easy way. The vast majority of the field coming down the pit road. We'll see if there's any tire changes or not, but I can guarantee you're going to see a lot of fuelmen out there plugging up the Sunoco race cans to these trucks and getting them full for this upcoming run.
100%. These guys know that they still have a long ways to go. You're probably going to see a couple of tires get thrown on because a lot of these guys are going to come right back down pit road, maybe even 2 more times to get this thing topped off and make sure they have as much fuel as humanly possible. You heard Larry Mack talk about it almost all race long this past Sunday at the Daytona 500. The more fuel you've got in the car, oh my God, I promise I'm not trying to sound like John Madden, but the more fuel you have in the truck, the less fuel you have to put in it at the end of the race. And that goes well with sim racing here as well. Looks like David Rosenblum going to be the first truck off pit road. Matt Yost there in second. And our own Wes Hogue, he's going to roll off P3.
So a big shakeup in the lineup here post this second caution, first caution cycle of pit stops. We'll let all these guys get out onto the racing surface and see where they will all shake up for this next run. But yeah, you make a great point there. If you have more truck in the fuel now, or more fuel in the truck, holy cow. There's my word, FUBAR, for the night. More truck, more fuel. I did it again. More fuel in the truck now than later on. You don't have to worry about putting as much in come that money stop. So this is the best opportunity to pack it full, get it rocking and rolling here, see where your numbers are at, maybe get a little information from that first run. I know it wasn't super long, but should have been enough to kind of get an opportunity to see where the burn-off was over that course of the run. I think it was about 12 or 13 laps or so still should be some valuable information that these guys can use to potentially apply to later on in the race if we do get some more green flag running from here.
And you can see the front runners getting caught up to the pace car. A lot of the drivers towards the back are going to come right back down, as I said, and top off with fuel. So that's going to throw another monkey wrench into the field just a little bit. Maybe not getting some teammates lined up or what have you. Just taking a quick peek. It looks like the top 5 stayed out, as well as a couple of lap trucks going to get their lap back. The 107 of Kurt James, Luke Underwood, and Bob Leclerc going to be the wave bys there. They stayed out on track, and they're going to get the lap back, get tucked on to the tail end of this thing, and get rolling once again. We got a little bit of time. It takes a long time. Well, you know what? The lights are off on the pace car. Maybe we'll talk to somebody after the next caution, I think.
Quickie cautions, we like to see that here. More green flag racing is always better for us. It's better for the fans, better for the drivers. So let's get to it. We'll go green here in half a lap. And like you said, Paul, David Rosenblum, he is your new race leader with Wes Hogue to his outside. We got the 3 machine lining up behind him. We're still trying to see who is going to be his dancing partner on the outside lane. Seems like the majority of these guys are lined up on the inside. I'm not exactly sure if a bunch of the field came down that last time by for a top off, and now they're having, oh wow, you can see a lot of guys actually must have come down for a late caution top off. They're gonna have to catch up to the field here fairly quickly and get re-racked and restacked for this restart. They're probably trying to avoid the situation that they just had with the 2 separate packs here. So if they're wanting to become one big one, they definitely want to get themselves caught up here before we go green.
100%. You can see everybody Well, they usually are lined up 2 by 2 all the way through, but all those drivers that came down the pit road to kind of top off on fuel, well, they're all going to have to line up on the inside. So that's why you see that inside line is much longer than the outside line, and it does in fact look like we're having a hiccup with the live timing and scoring over on the website. It seems like it's working up top. We'll see what that does. Green flag flies at iRacing Super Speedway once again. Look at the jump from that 38 truck. He is surging towards the front.
A good restart for West Togue. He will take his surge number 38 machine to the front of the field, and he'll lead this group down the back straightaway for the first time off of this restart. David Rosenblum losing a handful of positions, but he is going to lead the outside line, battling for position number 4 with the 3 machine of Jason Foskey. Top 3 trucks cleared out, make that now the top 4 as Foskey's going to win that battle. They're side by side for position number 4 heading into turn number 3, and look at that, a great visual of these trucks up to speed side by side. And now our first 3 wide of the night is the 107 ripping the lip with Rosenblum. So we've got a couple trucks to the top side now, and a middle groove becoming prominent here just below them.
It's the first time we've seen one big pack throughout the racing grooves all the way across this racetrack here in the front straightaway since the start of this one. And like you said, Kyle, it really kind of shows the uniqueness of this racetrack. There are grooves all over the place. If you've got to run, you don't necessarily have to let off the gas. You can just kind of drift up just a little bit, and you've got plenty of room to maneuver. So crazy to see what these guys are able to do, and it's crazy to see that 6 truck after backing off early on. He's come down pit road a couple of times. He might have had a little sheet metal damage he had to work on out, but he is back at it once again under the attack. He's going to try and drift on down. Indeed, he does. New leader of the 6 truck of Coding Eagles.
Did not take him long to get his way back to the front of the field, and that's going to be pretty helpful for him in case he finds himself buried in this pack later on in the race. He found the drafting help. He was able to make the moves that he needed to take the lead, but now he's got to fend off that top side, and they are coming with a large charge led by the number 126 machine. He's not going to quite get there on corner entry, but he's going to do his best to hang there. Hogue now side by side with him for position number 2, and here they come off of the exit of the corner. We'll see what they can do. That draft on the top side, trying to stay tight, trying to stay packed. They're not really doing a good job. That bottom line reigning supreme right now as Hogue is clear for 2nd. Now they're side by side for position number 3 as they enter turn number 3.
Now, once again, live all over the internet, trying to take over as it were here at VidaneTV. If you've been following along on Facebook, you saw we just made an announcement about a half hour ago. Been working with Casey Hodgson, over with the new Vermont and New Hampshire Racing News Group. You'll recognize that name because they were our Tuesday night league over the past winter, the Oil Boys Late Model iNational Series. That's the 2nd year that they were with us here on VidaneTV. And here at Vidane, caution, we'll come back to that in a moment. Couple of trucks pointed in the wrong direction. Indeed, the yellow flag comes out. It looks like Curtis James in the 107 bouncing off the wall. Looks like we got some sheet metal flying down on the apron there as well. Going to bring out the caution for the 2nd time here tonight.
We just made mention of him leading that outside lane for a quick moment there. They got rid of that top side, went back to 2 lanes deep, and unfortunately he has found himself in trouble entering turn number 1. The good news is that there was only 2 trucks involved in that, and look at that. He's pulling his best Ryan Preece impression there for a quick moment. We'll rewind it once again, give you a better look here on corner entry. The 107 on the outside. He's going to make contact with, I think that's the 16 below him. Can't quite read that number. And yeah, just the 2 of them come together. They slide up the racetrack and make significant contact with the outside wall. So not what they were looking for here at this early stage in the event. But the good news is that it was only 2 trucks involved, not a massive field clear. And oh no, looks like as we catch up live, he has found issues again coming off of the corner. And it's understandable. You can see the rear end completely missing from that 107, so the aerodynamics completely ruined on that truck. Not necessarily the best handling machine right now, even under caution speed.
Yeah, you made mention the Ryan Preece incidents where he finished the Daytona 500 rolling backwards, which we may or may not have seen in the past a time or two. But it was kind of funny that the RFK social media person, whomever they may be, well, they got a nice video of Brian Preece pulling up into the shop in his F-250 backwards. It was actually pretty humorous over on his Instagram page. I hate how funny it was, and it's mostly because I didn't think of the idea.
It's funny you bring that up because I literally just saw that right before we went live tonight, and I'm telling you, folks, whether if you're involved in NASCAR, you probably already know, but if you're not, you definitely need to give the RFK Racing page a follow. They are one of the best NASCAR teams to follow. The content is grade A content. Very funny, very humorous, and of course they played right into it with Priest getting back to the shop, I would assume this afternoon from Daytona. Getting back to our sim racing action here, the field once again coming back down onto pit road, taking advantage of the caution here to top off and get their fuel cells packed full. Don't see too many guys staying out, the majority of the field coming down. We did see the lineup shake up quite a bit from that previous caution to the previous green flag run. We'll see what these guys do here on pit road and what shakes up this time they hit their pit crews.
Yeah, busy stop. Looks like somebody drove through pit lane there. I believe. Well, I'm not sure who that was. I'm not sure if they didn't hit their pit stall or what may have been. Looks like Hogue gonna win the race off pit road. Indeed, he does. Crosses the line first in that search. Nope, crosses it second. Cody Neagle's gonna win the race off pit road. Looks like Wes gonna line up second, and everybody else going to fall in behind and catch back up with that iRacing pace truck. And with 56, where are we? 56 laps to go. I really do have to get these eyes checked. Holy moly. 56 laps to go here at iRacing Super Speedway. We're clicking them off pretty good. They're about 53 and a half seconds a lap around this 3-mile racetrack. So pretty cool to see, and everybody's got about the same fuel mileage strategy once again. You'll probably see a handful of drivers try to come down and top off, but you're also going to see a couple of guys know that, yeah, you need the fuel mileage, but man, you need that track position here, especially with 25 trucks still in the fight.
I was just going to make mention of that, Paul. You had said earlier that you weren't exactly sure what the tire wear was going to be like for tonight, but based off of what I've seen off of these 2 caution periods so far, I don't believe I've really seen anybody take tires, so it doesn't seem like they're too concerned about that right now. Maybe they will be later on in the race, but like you said, these guys are trying to focus on track position right now and keeping their trucks full. The fastest way to do that, just take the fuel, get on out. Don't worry about the Goodyear rubber underneath of you. So far, fuel only stops for the majority of the field. Another quickie yellow. We're getting right back to the action. Pace car ducks down onto pit road. These guys got themselves regrouped quite nicely, and look at that jump from Cody Neagles. I think Wes Hogue got a little sideways there getting him up to speed. The bottom line spaces out just a bit, and he's going to take advantage of that. He'll drop down into position number 3. The restart didn't work out for him to take the lead, but it does get him the preferred line going into turn number 1. The first 5 or 6 trucks now will single file out as we get back up to speed and race through 1 and 2 once again.
Yeah, this is one of those racetracks. It's not quite short track racing where you can win it in a corner or on a restart. One of the best things you could possibly do is pretty much exactly what that highline did, was get down to the bottom as quickly as humanly possible, because what you want to do is get behind somebody that's putting in the work to punch that hole into the air, so you can basically save a little bit of fuel, get that truck to get a little bit less wind resistance on it, and get it moving and up through the gears a little bit quicker than everybody else. And you can see already that 38 truck trying to peak up high, see if he can make a little magic happen on Cody Neagles. The 6 truck back up front, Robert McRae in the 803 there in second. Hogue, as we made mention, in third. Scott Thompson, Jason Foskey, the top 5. TJ Floyd, haven't mentioned him many times here this evening. He is in P6 in that 49 truck, multiple-time winner here in the Liberty Racing League Series. Matt Yost, Alec Karen, Rick Severance, and Mark Mann in the 04 truck. He's been quietly in the top 10 all night long, and he's rocking in that 10th spot right now.
Pretty tame feel as we get underway here on after our previous yellow. Not a lot of guys ripping the outside lanes. Everybody kind of single filing out to the bottom side. Maybe a couple of those incidents kind of putting the fear of God into some of these guys, and they're just kind of wanting to ride right now. We're still in the first half of the race, so a lot of racing left to go. We have a couple trucks to that outside lane, but not enough to really make solid progress just yet. You see James Pleski leading it. He's got 1 truck behind him, and that's it. There's 1 guy at the very back of the field, but other than that, nobody on the top of the lane. Everybody rim riding around the bottom side and trying to just log some laps right now down by the yellow paint.
100%. That's the second time I've heard you use the word, the terminology "rip the lip" here in this evening's broadcast. And I saw a lot of that a couple of weeks ago at Alltech Raceway, doing a little bit of camera work for the Dirt Track Digest group at the Winter Showdown at Alltech Speedway. That's called the Larry line. Larry White, the 99 Big Red Towing Machine. I know we're talking dirt car and we're racing super speedway trucks here, but when you rip the lip around the high side, that's the Larry line. And it was funny because he swept all 3 nights of that event, and everybody in second and third after each feature, they interviewed him and said, hey, what did you need to get around that 99 car? And, well, they said a bigger set of cojones. So it takes a lot to get that truck up towards the wall. You'll see some of these drivers are a little bit better at it than others, and that's usually that kind of a Hail Mary move towards the end of the race. Like you said, we're pretty tame right now. Guys are kind of feeling themselves out, feeling out their teammates, feeling out their trucks, kind of doing a lot of math, trying to race this race backwards to see where they need to stop for fuel for the final time and get that advantage, get that track position. As you can see, another driver coming off of pit road with a full tank of Sunoco race fuel. So a lot of time left in this one, but those laps are going to click off relatively quickly.
Paul, I'm quite impressed here. I just made mention a couple laps ago how James Pileski and the 49 machine of TJ Floyd were the only guys on the outside line. They have proven me wrong very quickly. The two of them worked together, got all the way from about 6th or 7th to the lead duo of this outside lane. Now they have some more drafting help from behind them, but they got there completely by themselves. So I don't know if that bottom lane is doing some fuel strategy savings right now, or if somehow those two just found a way to make some magic happen and propel them all the way to the front of the field. But they have gotten there, and now Pileski has actually cleared. He's gone to the inside line as we ride with Cody Neagles in second place. He was leading that bottom groove. Pileski was able to clear and gets down in front of him, and now you see, you get that one truck out. Nope. Never mind. Cody Neagles goes to the top side. He doesn't want to ride in second place. He wants to go for the lead back, and he's got some drafting help. More drafting help. They are ditching James Pileski on the bottom side of the racetrack, and now 3 trucks clear. TJ Floyd just about able to clear, but can't quite do it. He's got to stay up top. No, I lied. He is able to clear. So Pileski goes from the lead to 5th place in the length of the back straightaway. That right there just goes to show you how good drafting and momentum can take advantage on these long straightaways here at iRacing Super Speedway.
Yeah, and you made mention TJ Floyd. He's been the biggest mover so far, up 10 spots from where he qualified. Rick Seburn's up 9, as has the Batman Mark Mann. He's up 9. Dave Rosenblatt up 7. Alec Karen up 6, and the rest is history. So some comers and goers here in this one in the early going. 50 laps to go here at the iRacing Super Speedway. I want to welcome everybody in. If you're just joining us here, Showtime Paul Strickland Jr. and the Dr. Race Chaser himself, Kyle Young, making his return to the Vidane Racing booth here at the iRacing Super Speedway for a little Liberty Racing League Tuesday night action live on Facebook, on Twitch, on Twitter, on TikTok, all over the heckin' place. Especially on that YouTube channel. Be sure to give us the likes, the subscribes, the shares, all that good stuff. And like I started saying earlier, since day one here at VidaneTV, and Kyle, you can attest to this, we have always had the goal to bridge the gap between real racing and sim racing, and we have taken another step in doing that. The Vermont and New Hampshire Racing News page is now calling VidaneTV home. Great to have Kason Hodgson on board with us here, and we appreciate, looks like there's actually a handful of folks over on the Facebook page tuning in from that group, and he's going to be doing a lot of news stories here for us in the New England area, the northeast section of the racing world, and it's just a great spot to be able to put up some news up there. And Kyle, I believe you we're still trying to ink your deal out here. When are we going to see Dr. Race Chaser on VidaneTV?
Well, hopefully.
Oh, yeah, it's not anything.
Oh, of course not. No, you totally wasn't trying to put me on the spot there or anything. No, I mean, the beauty of this time in the season, you know, the NASCAR season just got kicked off. IndyCar starting next week. A lot of the dirt racing series have been getting back going. You had mentioned you were able to catch some big block modified racing at Alltech Raceway a few weeks ago. The Super Dirt Car Series just got their first races in on the year. Granted, they are not points counting, but they're still racing, so it still counts in some form. A lot of real world racing series starting to get back going here at this stage of the year. So now that we're getting that to happen, more racetracks are going to start opening up. I'm going to get to more racetracks, so it's going to be a whole heck of a lot easier for me to hit the road, do my thing, and hopefully put some more stuff up on the socials, both on my own and who knows? Like you said, sprinkling some stuff on the VidaneTV platform as well.
That's what it's all about. The sim racing and the real racing content having one home where folks could go check it out, and really looking forward to building in the 2026 season. And it's like I mentioned on the social media posts earlier on today, that is not the only announcement we're making this week. We have got some stuff cooking in the background. Be sure to tune into the socials this week. I believe we're going to make the announcement Thursday during the NAP race. I'll be calling that from an Airbnb close to Auburndale Speedway, because I'll be back there for the Figure 8 race this Saturday night. You'll be able to check that out on Pit Road TV. Great to work with Tony Stevens and the guys. Skinner going to be showing up, running the wireless cam. Joshua Weatherman going to be doing the graphics as well inside the trailer, so got to give those guys a shout out. I know they're watching, and I believe we're going to get Josh in the booth on Thursday night. He is the announcer for the Grand National Super Series, where Jeremy Mayfield has won the last 2 championships. So I think we're going to get him in the booth Thursday and see what he does with this iRacing stuff.
Ellie, you said you're trying to bridge the gap between the sim world and the real world, and that's just another way to keep on doing it. It's, you made mention that a few minutes ago, and I think one of the easiest and one of the first moves that VidaneTV did to do that was bringing in NEP. A lot of those guys are real-world racers, and this is their wintertime hobby. Of course, I just made mention a lot of things are starting to kick off here in the real racing world. Unfortunately for those guys, being in the Northeast, being in the New England area, they have a lot of time still to wait before they're able to get some of their racing in. I know some of them have come down here to Florida and in the Southeast to do that over the last few weeks, but they still have probably a month and a half, 2 months before they can really get going. And now to see how long they have been tenured here with VidaneTV, some of the other things that you are able to do with your real-world racing adventures, truly is a merger between virtual racing and real racing. And with everything that is in the works and trying to come up here over the next few months and even throughout all of 2026, VidaneTV is going to continue to do that sim to reality, or reality to sim, however which way you want to put it. It's happening here on this platform.
That's the beauty of bridges. They go both ways. And you made mention I'm doing just that, merging the real racing and the sim racing. And I wouldn't be able to do the real racing stuff. I wouldn't be able to do the freelance camera operator and producer stuff that I would if I didn't have the friends that I've met in sim racing. Wes and Britt just gracious enough letting me into the spare bedroom. And next week, actually going to be hanging out with another sim racing couple, John Adams and Allie, going to be hanging out with them. But that all happens after Sunday, when you, I, and the entire crew going to be hanging out and watching some cup racing at Atlanta Motor Speedway.
The fun that is going to be had over this upcoming weekend in the Atlanta, Georgia area may not actually be illegal, so we probably shouldn't talk about it too much just to get the law enforcement on our hands, on our trail. But yeah, that is going to be an insanely entertaining weekend. To have so many people together to just hang out and just be around each other, but also to go to a race and enjoy the one thing that has truly united all of us, going to be a riot. And again, very impressed as to what is going on the track right now here, Paul. We're seeing this now for the second time during this green flag run. Just 2 trucks working together on the outside line and making progress, going from the middle of the pack all the way up to the front. This time it's with the 70 of Matt Yost. Here as we get a great angle from this field on the digger cam, if you remember that from back in the day. Matthew Yost in that red number 70 truck, his only help right now is the 69 machine of Brian Booth. Brian's starting to drop back just a little bit. He's now got about 3 truck lengths in between, and you can see when he separates off that back bumper, it makes it harder for Yost to be able to contend with Cody Niegels for the race lead. But somehow those 2 trucks, the only 2 trucks on the top side, are doing enough to progress through the field and get up there. But even when they're not strung tight with each other, they're still maintaining those positions inside the top 5.
Looks like the 69 of Brian Booth may have had some issues there. Nope, that wasn't the 69. He's still up there in P6. One truck jumping on down to the apron, getting out of harm's way. You can see a little bit of slicing and dicing happening here. The drivers trying to get themselves kind of lined up maybe with their teammates. As we look at the wingnut timing and scoring, how far into this stint are we? Where is the stint column? Where did it go? It's been a little bit since we've come down pit road here. 13 laps. There we go. And we made mention earlier on 60% fuel loads here in the Liberty Racing League Series. So these guys come down pit road a lot. The virtual pit crews getting their workout, especially that gas man, because we mentioned earlier on you don't really need tires. As I take a look, it's just that's anywhere between 5 and maybe 7 seconds were most of the pit stops up throughout the top 10, even the top 15. Looks like David Overstreet back in 13th may have taken 2 tires with an 11-second stop. David Rosenblum looks like he had a little bit of damage. He's back at P17 in the 34 truck. He had about a 25-second stop last time he came down pit road. But we had that 25 truck field start the green flag, or take the green flag, rather. As it turns out, now 18 trucks still currently on the lead lap, and the top 15 within 3 seconds of each other. So a couple of little packs starting to sort out, and I was just going to say we might be getting close to pit stops. Here they come. Oh, no!
First few trucks will duck down on the pit road, and we have trouble with the 69 Brian Booth. He was not able to get on the pit road cleanly. He finds himself meeting the inside retaining wall, and it looks like we've only got 2 trucks. He's able to get that truck back going without any issues, so he will stay green here, but that is going to cost him a lot of time and could potentially lengthen his pit stop if he does choose to take damage repair. Another couple trucks will jump down behind them off of the lead draft as we return to that lead draft, who is now single filed out after those first couple pit stops. Probably everybody now starting to think the same. That's why we are no longer seeing anybody on the outside lane. They're starting to prepare themselves for their first round of green flag stops here, and anybody with any sort of racing knowledge knows you cannot pit from the outside lane. You got to be down on the bottom. You can't come across anybody's noses. And look at the group coming in, and they are coming in hot, Paul, slamming on the brakes to try to get down to pit road speed, and that's the vast majority of the lead pack coming in. This is going to be very fun to watch here to see who can get off first.
That right there is 10 sim racers that have been practicing pitting here, because that was wild. I saw that green surge truck just surge on down all the way down to the wall, and I almost said, what the heck is Wes doing? But then everybody did the same thing. Oh no, Foskey gets turned hard into the wall in that 3 truck. He's going to have to gather it back up and try and get back over to his pit crew. Meanwhile, everybody else is pulling away. You can see that 69 was still down on pit road, getting some damage repaired from his stop. Foskey still can't get into his pit stall. Big time problems for the 3 truck. That's tough. That's a tough break.
This is absolutely disastrous for Jason Foskey. If that were to happen in a real world NASCAR race, all he'd have to do is get the truck back in the pit box and they can service it. Unfortunately, iRacing is not the same. You have to be pitted like a normal vehicle, so he has to get himself out of the pit box, spin around, and then get back into it, and he may have just been saved because, Paul, I see the caution flag is out.
Indeed it is, and I'm just trying to take a quick peek throughout the field. You can see everybody kind of coming off pit road there. We see Matt Yost cutting the grass. Corey Casagrande is not going to like that. He is our resident landscaper here at VidaneTV. He has got some damage on that 70 truck, and it looks like it might have been some contact there as they came off pit road. We might have just missed it, because there you can see Foskey was still trying to get into that pit stall like you were talking about earlier on. I believe it's Pileski right in behind, gets up there, tries to give him a little bit of a bump. Oh, no, he's way back there, so we'll take a peek. It may very well just be the flat. Yeah, just tried to get it in a low gear, and the 70 just loses it, unfortunately, down through the grass and gets it turned up. Trying to overcorrect in that grass, not exactly the easiest thing to do here in iRacing.
Got to be honest, Paul, I'm kind of surprised, and you can see another truck slides in there as well, that Coors Light machine, the number 46, I think that's David Overstreet there, that was doing the same thing behind Matthew Yost. I was kind of surprised that the caution flag flew because Yost was spinning down on the apron, not the actual racing surface, but there was one truck that did roll by shortly after Yost had spun, so maybe that is what triggered it. Even though it was on the apron, there were still some vehicles around, so iRacing triggering the yellow there and slowing this field down as we reach the halfway mark in the race. Seeing that everybody just finished up around the pit stops, I wouldn't imagine that we would see too many pit stops under this caution, but depending on where the fuel numbers lie, that was what, probably about 15 or 16 laps. We've got half of the race left, so I think no matter what, these guys are probably going to have to make 2 stops if we were to go green from here on out. So I don't know. I guess we'll have to wait and see here what these guys do decide to do. Usually at the super speedways, you see a lot of drivers will come in and top off at the very last moment just to set themselves up for as much fuel as possible before the next green flag run. But seeing that this is probably a 2-stop race either way, who knows? We could see either or, and it looks like the majority of the field is going to choose to come down to top off. There are some guys staying out. We do have some drivers off the lead lap, though, so those might be the lap down trucks, but the vast majority of the lead lap trucks, they are going to come down and top off with Sunoco race fuel once again.
39 laps left to go. We'll probably get the restart with about 37. We saw 15, 16 laps has been about the longest run under green flag, so you're definitely going to have to come down at least 2 more times. It's one of those deals. With the trucks and the truck pit crews here in the iRacing world, it doesn't take all that long to get these things fueled. I'm just looking briefly. Rick Sebren's crew with a 4.2, Cody Neagle's 4.7 stop, 5 seconds for the 95, 4.9 for Scott Thompson. These guys are able to jam these things full of the Sunoco race fuel pretty quickly. But seconds on pit road means miles on the racetrack. So especially under caution, I think you're going to see a lot of these guys try and come down, pack these things to the absolute gills full of fuel, and make sure that they have that little bit of an advantage. Because if you can go 15 or 16 laps, pardon me, that gives you about an 8-lap window where you could potentially come down at any given time on that one short stop you're going to have to make.
So let me play devil's advocate for you here, Paul. We've seen a couple times in that last green flag run how there was a couple tandem of trucks that were able to make progress working through the field despite being vastly outnumbered. How important is the track position truly going to be at this stage of the race? We've seen other guys do it, so even if you do decide to pit here or to pit again before we go green flag racing, all you really may need is just one loyal drafting partner to be able to get yourself back to the front of the field. So seeing that has worked for a couple different tandems up to this point, maybe the track position game isn't necessarily as important as we are initially thinking here. Now, I could be wrong, and the only reason why those guys were able to take advantage of that situation was because there was so little drafting help on that outside line. Maybe if you get 4, 5, 6 trucks up there, it's going to be harder to move through the field. But something to at least consider. We did see a couple guys work together, go from mid-pack to that front of the lead draft. Now, granted, it was pretty hard for them to find a way to get down to the bottom side with only having 2 trucks, but at least making that progress through the field, there really wasn't a lot of help, but they found a way to make it work.
And you can see we're going to get lined up 2 by 2 all the way through once again with the lights off in the iRacing pace car. Robert McRae, Don Ashton, Alec Karen, Cody Neagles, and Robert DuPont at the top 5. Wes Ho going to be in P6. Dave Rosenblum, P7. Adam Kaliski, Mott Yost, and Brian Booth, the top 10. Great recovery for that 69 truck, as we saw had a detrimental pit road entry under green, able to recapture his composure. He's going to be rolling off P10. TJ Floyd in the 49 car, 11th. Rick Severns, James Mayer, Scott Thompson, Mark Mann, Joseph Fogg, David Overstreet, and Jason Foskey going to be the 18 drivers on the lead lap. Jeremy James, James Pileski, Bob Leclerc, and Luke Underwood 1 lap down. Curtis James off the racetrack, 7 laps down. Michael Ziegler, 15 laps down, and Don Snutch, 32 laps down on pit road. So strong field, still strong in this one, well past, or 4 laps past the halfway marker here, about a half hour into this one. Once again, got to thanks everybody for tuning in all over the place, live all over social media, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, Twitch, all that good stuff. Give us the likes, the shares, the follows, the subscribes, all that magical stuff. Let your friends and family know you're watching some iRacing action here on a Tuesday night. We're going to be racing Thursday night with the NEP series. They return to the airwaves, and be on the lookout for some racing content, some figure 8 racing content from the Auburndale Speedways. I believe this is going to be the first event that I'm going to be doing the video blog throughout the entire week. That's going to be a whole lot of fun. The 17 truck, though, of Don Ashton, not quite the best restart that he could have had there. You saw he jumped up into the outside line, trying to feel that truck out, make sure everything is A-OK. It looks like he is up to speed, but that bottom line, they're just hooked up. They've got a little bit more drafting help than there is up on the high side, so he's going to drop back towards the back of that front pack and try and tag on and make sure that he doesn't lose the draft. But you can see down on the bottom side, I don't think anybody's saving fuel. I think everybody is hammered down. They want to try and get to the front and make sure they've got the track position for those final couple of pit stops coming up late in this one.
Paul, that's the second time we've seen the outside pole sitter for a restart have an issue getting up to speed. We saw it on the previous restart with Wes Hogue. Fortunately for him, he was able to drop down third in line after his little tire spin, but Don Ashton, his was much more dramatic. He has fallen all the way outside of the top 10. That outside line very quickly evaporated after the restart, and everybody dropping down to the bottom side of the racetrack. Now that we've gotten a lap in, he's actually in position number 10 is Don Ashton, so he didn't fall out, but he fell at the very end of the top 10, found a hole at the bottom side of the track, and now we're going to go low lining here around the inside. Only a couple trucks trying that top side groove right now. A lot of disorganization at the back of the field for the moment. The front guys are much more packed up than what the rear of the field is, so we'll have to keep an eye on that and see if there's some separation like we saw in that first green flag run earlier tonight.
And you can see a lot of the drivers down on the bottom side just trying to get through the next couple of pit stops here. Not necessarily saving fuel, but you can't finish the race if you don't have a truck. And that's what a lot of these drivers have in the back of your mind. We saw that little snuff up there on the initial green flag here. So a lot of these drivers mid-pack on back, they have already used up their one quick repair in this event. So really kind of racing this thing as if there's eggshells underneath that gas pedal and trying to do everything they can to stay out of harm's way. Everybody's still chasing Cody Niegels. And how about that? The 69 with a nice lap, 53.211. Quickest lap time so far here this evening. That's a blistering lap. I think he's the only driver that's hit a 53.2 so far.
And he drops that from the 11th place position. So further back in the pack, you get the benefits of the clean, or the benefits of the draft, and are able to put down a pretty quick lap. He's trying to make some passes on that outside groove. He's got some help from the 42 machine. Looks like, oh, we've got trouble. One truck up against the outside wall. The caution flag will fly, and that is once again the 70 machine of Matt Yost. He brought out that previous yellow, trying to come off of pit road. Unfortunately, he has found trouble once again, and I think this time, Paul, he's got some damage to that number 70 machine. He's trying to get off of the crease from the apron to the banking and get that truck rolling again so he doesn't fall off the lead lap here.
Hey, you can see that thing's a little crab walking just a little bit. Tried to drive it up the banking, and just the angle didn't work. Just wasn't able to get there. Whoop, backed it up just a little bit too much on the U-House Racing Designs instant replay, but that's okay. Gives us enough time to take a look at the racing action back here just outside the top 10. Keep an eye on that red truck. You can see a couple of trucks dip outside the line and behind. Everything all good there. Gets a little bit of a run. Shoots up onto the outside. Not enough to, well, makes a little bit happen. Taking a look here, we backed that up just a little bit too much. We're going to hit the play, and there you see, might have had some help.
Yeah, it sure looked like he did. Kind of similar to what we saw on the opposite end of the racetrack there a couple cautions ago. Just two guys going for the same piece of real estate. A couple trucks also involved. They were able to drive off. Matt Yost definitely got the worst of it, though. That's the thing with this racetrack. Again, the steep transitions from the straightaway banking to the corner banking, it really shifts these trucks to the left. And you saw that happen with Matt Yost. Probably saw that happen a little bit with the truck down to his inside. May have shot to the right a little bit. It was a little challenging to see from that angle exactly which truck moved in which direction. But it's something that you have to be very, very careful of when you are racing here, especially side by side, is to give it the driver to either your inside or the outside plenty of room and to be able to hold a pretty wheel once you go into that corner entry.
Now, I'm not a math guy. There's 32 laps in this one, and we saw these drivers were able to make 16 laps. So I think this particular caution flag is going to turn this into a one-flag race. But you're going to have to at least save a little bit of fuel. If you're Cody Eagles in the 6 truck, I don't think you're going to be able to get out there and lead for both of these next 2 stints. I think you're going to have to at least get in the back of the pack, or maybe not the back of the pack, but a few trucks deep to catch some of that draft. Get in behind somebody else's hole that was punched into the air to save some of that fuel to make it to the end. I say that we'll probably end up seeing a couple of these guys come down and top off with 1 to go and make a liar out of me. But there's definitely going to be at least 1 or 2 drivers that try and stay out and make this just a one-stop race.
Yeah, I think you're going to see a lot of fuel desperation here on this caution period. These guys are going to try to do everything they can to jam-pack those trucks full of fuel because, yeah, I fully believe, as you do, that we are in the window to where they can make it on 1 pit stop from here. So depending on how many cautions we get moving forward, it could very well have an impact on that. We have seen 1 green flag run go all the way to pit stops already tonight, and we've seen some shorter runs. Obviously, as you get closer to the end of the race, the anticipation gets a little needy. These guys start to get a little bit more into the take category than the give. The aggression picks up, so very well could see more caution flags. But if we do get a lengthy green flag run here towards the finish, these caution flag pit stops could be the determining factor into whether they can make it 1 lap or on 1 more stop or not. And then, as you said, how much fuel can they save during the green flag runs? Where are they positioned in the draft? What are they doing with their throttle tracings? All those sorts of things. Actually, we're going to get ready to go back to green flag right here, so this is going to be really tight, only having that 1 opportunity to pit under this yellow.
Yeah, I think Race Control might have learned a lesson at the initial start, because I feel like we had a couple of drivers that were going to try and come down pit road on that green flag to fuel up, and I think that's what kind of got us off to that catawampus start. So Quickie Yellows here is the name of the game at the iRacing Super Speedway. Alec Karen in the 81 truck leading his first laps of the evening. You see the 803 truck down on the bottom side, and Wes Hogue going to tuck in P3.
A much better restart for him on that outside line this time, but the same result ends up playing true. He'll drop down to the inside, fall into line into P3. The 34 truck will now lead the outside line. That is David Rosenblum trying to bring the Valvoline Chevrolet up towards the front of the field. And now as soon as I say that, the outside has some momentum from the trucks ahead. Wes Hogue will join the number 803 of Robert McRae to the top of the leaderboard. They both go 1-2, and now they bring David Rosenblum right up there with them. 3 trucks leading that outside lane, trying to compete with the top 3 down on the bottom side. Another lap will click away, and it'll be an even 30 to go this time by.
Yeah, that 38 truck is hungry. I've talked to Wes time and time again about the Liberty Racing League and the Vidane Racing League back in the day when we ran super speedways. Before we even started doing this streaming TV stuff, he is hungry. He's got himself at least, trouble! Car, truck pointed in the wrong direction. Scott Thompson in the 75, hard into the outside wall. I'm going to bring up the caution once again. And it looks like he was able to grab a gear and get rolling once again in that 75 truck. But man, oh man, that is going to be not good for his shot at winning this one. It looks like he might have just pancaked the wall a little bit as we were watching that in reverse. But we'll take a peek at the 75 truck, Scott Thompson.
Yeah, it looks like he left a little bit of a gap there on that outside line. James Pileski thought it was a little too enticing to just ignore. He tried to fit it in there to force it 3 wide. There was not enough space between the 2 trucks, and unfortunately at the 75, Scott Thompson gets the worst end of that. Left rear to right front contact, sends the 75 into the outside wall, crinkling up the passenger side door panel on that one. He was able to get it going fairly quickly, though, and rejoins the field. So while there is significant damage on that truck, it doesn't appear to be too detrimental as for the moment. We'll see what he decides to do under this yellow flag in regards to repair. So, Paul, we were just talking about all the fuel strategy now. So this caution should definitely put the field within the 1-stop window from here. As I said, though, it's just going to depend on how much green flag racing we get from this point forward, and what these guys decide to do with that. So definitely makes things a little bit easier for their fuel strategy. I'm pretty sure that it's 1 stop for sure now. It's just going to be all about how many green flag laps we can get in and how aggressive these guys are going to be on the racetrack. Of course, the aggression certainly leads to has a direct correlation to the carnage or the chaos that we could potentially see here, and the desperation for a victory will only get higher as we continue to click the laps away.
We'll see who's going to come down pit road and try and take advantage of the yellow flag pit stops. And just looking at the timing and scoring, everybody came down for fuel only last time by. Everybody's right around the 5-6 second mark. You can see everybody's going to come down pit road. You'll probably see a couple of guys stay out there. You see Bolesky staying out. The leader tried to stay out, faked everybody out. It looks like James is on his own here.
Currently seeing him off of the lead lap, so he may be trying to take the wave around under this caution. I'm not sure if he would be eligible for the free pass, seeing that he was a part of the initial cause of the caution, but with him being the lead truck now behind the pace car, he should be able to get the wave around at the very least to put himself back on the lead lap. And actually, as soon as you see that there, the truck behind him looks like he is going around as the free pass. I would assume that that is the 221 of Jeremy James. So it looks like once we get things re-racked and ready to go back to green, Paul, every truck on the racetrack will be on the lead lap. That's still 22 of our 25 starters. 3 trucks have retired early. But that's pretty impressive for this late stage in the race, especially with some of the incidents that we've seen. These guys definitely taking advantage of those fast repairs, keeping themselves involved in the race. Less than 30 laps to go. Everybody on the track still in contention for it. There's really no telling who is the favorite at this point in this race. We've seen a lot of different guys lead laps. We've seen guys go from the back to the front. We've seen some guys with some issues. Your guess is as good as mine. I got no idea who's in the best position to get a win tonight.
100%. We made mention earlier on, Wes Hogue has himself a win, at least in it. One of the things he's not got so far is one of those championship belts. Paul, or Wes, is Paul up in the booth to get a copy, brother?
Yes, sir. Got you.
Quickie yellow here. Didn't realize you guys are going back to green. You got enough to win this race?
You're good. Here for you.
I think that was a yes. Going to get him back down into his station, and he's going to handle that. He is all business here tonight. He wants this win here at iRacing Super Speedway.
All work and no play out of Wes Hogan, the 38 Surge machine. He will now get the opportunity to control the restart. We've seen a couple times him being on that outside line. He struggled, but now as the control truck down on the bottom side, we'll see if that helps him get a better restart and see if he can set the pace here under this green flag run. 27 laps remain. The green flag is in the air, and just as expected, a way better restart for Wes Hogue. He's able to separate himself from Alec Karen by a couple truck lengths. The first 4 or 5 trucks able to get down to the bottom side of the racetrack. That Yeti number 4 machine, Rick Seabrands, he's leading the outside lane. Only one truck with direct help behind him. That's Cody Neagles in the 6. Those guys, maybe they're going to try to put some momentum together and see if they can race up towards the front like we've seen a couple tandems do already tonight.
Yeah, and once you get hooked up with somebody you're comfortable drafting with, whether it's pushing or pulling, and that's 2 completely different things in the sim racing and the real racing world. You'll hear that guys are better pushers. You'll hear some guys are better pullers around the racetrack, and it all depends on how the truck is set up. I mean, obviously, fixed setups here in the Liberty Racing League. Everybody has the same thing underneath the hood and under the chassis in this Super Speedway Series League. So it's all driver, it's all strategy, and it's all teammates here. As you can see, 2 lines now weaving back and forth, everybody trying to get hooked up with their partners, with their dancing partners. You got 27 laps to go. You got 1 more pit stop at the very least. Things are about to pick up here in the Liberty Racing League.
Well, they certainly didn't do it on their own, but they did make it to the front of the field. Rick Seabrands and Cody Neagles gets outside momentum, and they are able to take the lead away from Wes Hogue. Seabrands will take the number 1 spot. Cody Neagles to the runner-up position. We're now seeing a couple trucks even trying the 3rd lane way up by the outside wall there. Not really organized too well up there, so they're not going to find a lot of success. But as soon as those front 2 trucks dropped down to the bottom side, you saw the momentum change, and now the rest of the field on that outside lane struggled and are trying to get down to the bottom. And look at that, only 3 trucks on the top now, and they are mid-pack at best. Matt Yost, the first truck up there in position number 7 or 8, he's trying to get around the 46 machine. The Coors Light truck of David Overstreet for position. No real help. He's going to be at a big disadvantage once they get into the corner here.
100%. I have to chuckle just a little bit as we briefly got a couple of noises out of Wes before we got onto the green flag. It sounded like he was out of breath. Now, I'm a big guy. You've lost a little weight, but you're still a big guy too. When you've got a big racetrack like this and you're just on it the entire time, and then all of a sudden you have to come right off pit road to take the green flag with a quickie yellow time and time again. It really does. It takes a wear on you physically and mentally, because you don't really have that extra lap or two to talk to your teammates and talk to whomever's around you. Just be like, hey, man, this is going to be the strategy, or what do you want to do for the next couple of laps? Or do we take it easy? Do we get going? These guys are all go all the time. And you can see it may be starting to take a toll as we work lap 56, crossing the stripe for lap 57. Just a handful of laps left to go in this one, as well as the one pit stop. And I got a feeling as we get close to that 30 lap to go marker, we're going to see some of these guys come down. 20 lap to go, rather. I know how to count, I swear.
Well, you hear a lot of people that are naysayers against this type of racing. They say, it's easy, you're just riding. It doesn't take a lot of skill. It's more so about fortune and luck and stuff like that. I think Wes proved right that is so far from the truth. And I've always been a firm believer that it is a very skillful form of racing. It just takes a different form of skill in order to be successful on these racetracks. These guys, they're not really having a lot of opportunity to breathe. These cautions have been very quick tonight. A lot of different fuel strategy. These guys are having some trouble keeping their trucks in line. As you can see them swerving and swaying as they come off of turn number 4 there. There is a lot going on, and I was able to talk to Wes a little bit pre-race earlier today. These guys are very team-oriented as well. They're trying to do what they can, not only for the benefit of themselves, but the benefit of their teammates if they have the opportunity to help somebody out. So many different factors go into play into being successful at these types of races, and this is what these guys do every single week. Yes, the cars and the tracks change per week, but it's all drafting. It's all super speedways. So it's one very specific mindset and one very specific skill set that you're having to execute week after week after week, and it's not easy. It is very challenging to do, and with everything that we've seen so far here tonight, we're seeing a full display of the talent and the stress that these guys have to go through in order to be able to be in contention to compete for a win.
Yeah, the Liberty Racing League really putting on a clinic with the style of super speedway racing, and a prime example of that teamwork. And I hate to call the guys out, but I'm slow too. But it's just one of those deal. Good friends of mine, Brian Bliss and Garland Meadows, Cutting Edge Motorsports, teammates back in the day when we were on the Vidane Racing Super Speedway League. We ran a couple endurance races, a couple 24-hour races, but Brian Bliss got us banned within the first couple of laps. We didn't really have much of an endurance career, but in any sense, we aren't quick by ourselves, but we figured out a way as a 3-truck team to be able to essentially work together. We get the fastest guy up front, and then the guys in behind, they had their own jobs. The guy right up behind, he was on that tailgate, on that back bumper, pushing. And that third truck line, he'd be about 75-80% throttle, just kind of there to collect the air. Just making sure that, hey, there's a hole in the air, we're helping the draft, we're helping the push, and he's kind of the one that would almost steer the train of 3 or 4 trucks, and you'll see that high line start to pick up, and I think that's why we've seen only 2 or 3 trucks. We're starting to see it right now. There's a bunch of guys down the bottom side. If we get 2 or 3 solid trucks that are really bumped up against each other, bumper to bumper to bumper, they're really going to be able to make some magic happen, especially later on in this race, because this thing, you made mention earlier on in the first handful of laps, you could easily, very comfortably go 5 wide on this super speedway.
Yeah, it's certainly going to take some impressive work in order to get that many trucks to go wide, but the width is there if they really wanted to do it. I think what we're seeing right now, Paul, is just get through that final pit stop. These guys know that one pit stop remains. Once they're able to make that happen, then they can start to kind of race it out. So a lot of cooperation right now, a lot of calm. They're just logging laps, getting through this portion of the race, just about 3/4 of the way there. But this is where the money is made. This is where these guys are going to have to be at their best. You can't win it if you're not there. So they're trying to pace themselves, trying to give themselves the best opportunity to win once they get beyond that final pit cycle, and then we're probably going to see something magical after that.
100%, the calm before the storm, if you will. And you can see that Yeti machine leading out front. Cody Neagle's in that 6 truck. He led a bunch of laps earlier on, and I almost feel like that was on purpose. I feel like he went out there to see, hey, I can lead this thing for X amount of laps, write that number down, take a mental note of it. He's been pushing ever since. He's been kind of lagged back. Sometimes he's been right up on the back bumper of whomever's in front of him. Sometimes he's been a couple of truck lengths back, just kind of catching a whiff of that draft. but he's doing everything he can in that 6 truck to keep it up front and keep it in, at least keep it in contact with that leader. And you can see he is all over the back bumper of that number 4 truck. And a lot of those drivers, you can see James Pileski, unfortunately, losing that lap once again with that damage to the back bumper of that 93 truck. But you can see a lot of these drivers jumping back down to that bottom side of the racetrack, crossing the stripe. Going to be 18 laps to go. We've got some green flag pit stops getting ready to be on the go.
They certainly are not far away. They're getting into that point of the race where they're going to be within the final pit window. Then you have to start to think, okay, what about the potential for overtime if we start to get some late race cautions and this race gets extended beyond its scheduled distance? That is one of the biggest things that these guys have to figure out. Do you give yourself enough fuel to be able to make it a couple overtime attempts if need be, and potentially take longer on pit road and sacrifice some track position late in the going? Or are you only focused on the scheduled distance? Do you get enough fuel to make it to 80 laps, get yourself up front, and maybe you worry about the overtime later on? You try to save it under caution, hope that there is no overtime. Even though we've narrowed it down to one more stop, there is still a lot of things to consider here. It's not as simple as just pit and you're good. How long do you pit? When do you pit? How much fuel do you take? A lot of different things that these guys have to think about prior to this pit stop in order to try to execute it the best way that they can and give themselves the best opportunity to win later on.
That's one of the reasons I was never really all that competitive when I was doing the sim racing myself, was all the calculations that these guys are doing at well over 200 miles an hour as we thunder on down the front straightaway, trying to figure out how much fuel they need to make it to the end of this one, how much they're using per lap. There are a couple of different apps and crew chiefs, and sometimes you've got a crew chief in your ear that'll help you out. But man, there's a lot of decisions that are really being made each and every single lap, and it's well over 200 miles an hour. It may maybe dip down to 197 in this big pack as they get through that high banking there, but all go all the time. We used that terminology earlier on in this one, and these guys being able to make decisions and think and still communicate and also still be up front, it's a lot to put together here at a super speedway.
Without a doubt, it is so much more than just keeping the foot pushed through the floorboard and making a couple left turns. We're riding on board with Wes Hogue here in position number 3. You're looking ahead at second place truck Cody Neagles. Everybody for the most part still staying cooperative. Now as soon as I say that, Wes ducks out of the line. He will put himself back in line, just trying to get a quick little breath of fresh air, maybe trying to see what the closing rate is like for later on in the race. That's something that is also worth consideration here too, Paul. You kind of mentioned with Cody Neagles earlier. He's been at the front, he's been at the back, he's made some pushes to go up towards the front of the field again. He has put himself in a great position to really know where he and his truck is at when it comes to a late race scenario. He knows how good he is up at the front. He knows how quickly he can get to the front if he's not at the front already. So keep your eye on that 6 truck coming out of this final pit stop. I made mention earlier that I wasn't really sure who was in the best position to win this thing, who could be a favorite. Maybe that needle is starting to lean a little bit towards Cody Neagles' favor here. He's gotten himself in a lot of different scenarios. He's learned a lot throughout this race, and now he's in prime position. He's second place right now. Obviously, he knows he has to pit still, but best way to prepare yourself for that final pit stop, get yourself as far up forward in the field as you can, put as many trucks behind you so that way you're focused on what you can control and what is in your hands rather than everybody else around you.
And the best way to keep this entire season in your hands is to get out there and get a win. We heard in the NASCAR offseason, they changed up the point style. It's back to the chase for the cup style. But here in the Liberty Racing League, we're still rocking the playoffs. Win and you are in. Hogue has one of those wins. He's trying to get himself another one here in the Liberty Racing League this season. Once again, 7 races in after this point. You can see dipping down to the apron. Is he coming down pit road? Indeed he is, and he's bringing everybody with him.
We are within that window, and everybody is going to jump on it immediately. The vast majority of the lead pack coming down. This is it, Paul. Money stop time is here. Make it or break it. Get in, get your fuel, and get on out. Track position could be huge. Execution is massively important. You can't overshoot. You can't undershoot. You can't speed. You can't spin out coming off of pit road, like we've seen some guys have done already here tonight. Everybody in the pit box. Not seeing very many jacks go up. These are fuel-only stops, and here we go. Wes Hogue going to be the first one out. Cody Neagles in position number 2. They are rolling out of pit road. Rick Seabrand's trying to get around Neagles for that second spot. He is able to do so, and for the most part, looks like clean pit stops. Can they survive this apron coming on out?
Yeah, that apron is absolutely treacherous. You're so used to rocking that, but you can see Hogue drift in that 38 truck down around there. He's practiced that move a time or two. Caution flag gonna fly, though. My, oh my. As the rest, I was just going to make mention, there are 4 drivers that stayed out. One of them was Matt Yost in that 70 truck, and I believe he is indeed the caution. Tried to come down pit road and beefed it. 70 truck and a call for the tow truck. He is out of this one. TJ Floyd, Kolakowski, and Overstreet, the 3 drivers that elected to pit on this next lap. I don't think it's going to throw a monkey wrench into everybody's deal. Oh, that was a hard hit. That wasn't even a pit entry. We'll back up. Let's take a look at the U-House Racing instant replay. There you can see that Coors Light number 46 getting a little bit squirrely. And there you see, just up into the 70. Kyle, I don't really know what happened a lap or 2 ago, but I think that might have been a receipt.
They say third time's the charm, and that one might have been the one to knock Matthew Yost out of this race. What an unfortunate night it has been for that number 70 machine. Truck getting up into the air and onto its side. You see the contact here about to happen between he and David Overstreet. Overstreet slides up, gets him in the left rear, and the truck picks up off the ground, rests on the left side, and there you go. You get the cam right through the visor. He did make it onto pit road, but it certainly was not the intended method to get onto pit road, and his brutal night looks to have come to an end after that one. Caution flag coming out right as our field was making their final pit stop of the night. So now this is going to get a bit interesting here, Paul. You would think, okay, final pit stop is in. You should be able to make it through the rest of the race on gas. No problem, right? Well, again, what about overtime? You've got the opportunity to pit here under caution flag. You know you're going to have an opportunity to get that truck completely full of gas. So what do? Do you come down to pit road? Do you stay out and try to save? Looks like a good chunk of the field. They're choosing to come down to pit road. They want to top off. They don't want to risk it. They don't want to have to play with overtime. They are willing to take worst track position at this stage in the race and try to work for under green just to make sure that they can make it the rest of the way, not have to worry about having to fuel save under caution, not have to worry about potentially running out. And we're actually seeing some tires going on this 38 truck. I think the right sides are getting replaced here for Wes Hogue, and actually he is going to take all 4 tires. So not only is he going to top off on fuel and give himself the best opportunity to make it the rest of the distance, he is also going to put fresh rubber underneath of his truck, give him the maneuverability to do whatever he wants in the draft, and give him the best opportunity to get to the front of the field no matter where he is about to restart.
Yeah, I don't know if iRacing has a feature where you can tell your virtual pit crew what to eat and drink before each race, but I'd be willing to bet that every member on that virtual pit crew pounded a surge before this one, because under that last green flag pit stop, he was the first one off pit road by a country mile. Fuel only stop for everybody down there. 4 tires that time by 14.2 seconds, and I believe indeed he is. He's the first driver off pit road with 4 tires. Alec Karen looks like he may have taken 4 tires. Alec Kolakowski with a 15.5. Jason Foskey back there in the P3 spot. So top 5 all stayed out. They all pitted 2 laps ago, 3 laps when they crossed the stripe. First guy with a full tank of fuel under this caution is going to be the 21 of Luke Underwood, and David Rosenblum right in behind him. So as we look, we should come to 1 to go this time. It's going to stack everybody up 2 by 2. James Pileski having some trouble, looks like, getting down into pit road. He's 2 laps down, unfortunately, in that 93 truck. He's quick, just unfortunately not having a very lucky night in that 93 truck. So they're going to try and see what they can do for next week's show. And there you see the 1 to go. So we're going to get the lap trucks waved on by. Going to get lined up 2 by 2 behind that non-manufacturer specific iRacing pace car. Rick Seabrans and Cody Neagles is going to be the front row as we take that restart. And we're going to get that restart 10 laps to go.
Race fans, it's time to strap in and get yourself ready for this one. 10 to go. Fuel should not be an option or should not be an issue anymore. This is going to be as white-knuckled and brawled out as we are going to get here tonight. 10 laps, race win, playoff berth on the line here for this field. And as I mentioned, I truly think that anybody could win it at this stage in the race. We haven't seen a ton of outside lane passes happen tonight. We have seen some. Honestly, most of them have come when that outside line was mainly non-existent. Now, I have a feeling we're going to see at least 2 solid lines of drafting going on here. I don't think these guys are going to ride single file around the bottom anymore. This is go time now. It's time to strap in, get up on that wheel, and see what you can do here in the final 10 laps to get yourself a victory on a Tuesday night.
Tire and fuel strategy out the window. Everybody relatively on the same page. 10 laps, 30 miles, and a trophy. At the end of this one, you made mention that playoff berth as well. These guys doing everything they can to try and make it into the 16-driver playoff and win that wrestling-style belt. You've heard the story time and time and time again. Wes has won many, many races in Vidane Racing, many races here in the Liberty Racing League. Does not have that championship belt. He's hungry, and he wants it now. Green flag flies, 10 laps to go here in the Liberty Racing League at the iRacing Super Speedway.
Rick C. Brands and Cody Nagels, they were drafting partners early on in the race. They are not anymore. We got trucks scattering all over the place, and Jason Foskey is around at the back of the field. No caution at the moment. He and David Overstreet get tangled up, and now the caution flag will fly. So a very quick green flag spurt there. Those issues kind of happened towards the front of the field there, Paul. It was not just at the back here. We're going to get a look on the YRD Designs replay. See some contact happen between David Overstreet and Don Ashton. That stacks things up. James Pileski gets Overstreet bounced off of him, and Jason Foskey, an unfortunate victim of it all. The good thing, they only kept it to 2 trucks. Not a lot of guys getting involved there, but this is going to chew away some green flag laps, and for some of those guys that were in the back of the pack there, now it's going to be a little bit harder for them to work their way through the field with a fewer lap count to do so.
Yeah, the less laps we have green flag, the harder these guys are going to have to race their way up towards the front. And, well, the more cautions we have, the more drivers we're going to get back on the lead lap. Going to get the 37 truck of Joseph Frog, the Burger King truck, going to be back on the lead lap after getting the free pass. And that puts 19 trucks on the lead lap here at a 3-mile super speedway. That tells me literally any one of these 18 drivers can come home with the victory here as we chase down the pace car.
Get the field re-racked and reorganized here, take you through the lineup once we get that set. Not a lot of change happening with a short little run there, but we'll see how things stack up here as we get prepared for our next restart here with a single-digit lap count left to go. Paul, we've seen quite an interesting race here tonight. We've seen a good mix of action. We've seen some longer green flag runs. We've seen some green flag pit stops. We've seen some short green flag runs. We've seen a little bit of carnage. But the one thing that we haven't seen yet tonight, we haven't seen the big one. Yes, there have been some incidents with guys getting into each other and getting into the wall, but we haven't seen that big pack clearing wreck yet. Now, granted, we haven't really seen a huge side-by-side field up to this point. The few instances that we have seen the outside line get to about 5, 6, 7 trucks, it doesn't really last all that long. But as we mentioned, it's go time now. It's time to get moving. Is this when things get a little treacherous and we start to wad up some more equipment?
Short answer, yes. These guys know that it is absolutely time to go. We're down to single digits. Lights are still on in the pace car, so we're going to get that restart with about 6 laps to go. That gives these drivers 12 to 15 miles to get it all sorted out with the potential for a green-white checker. The good thing is I don't think these drivers are going to have to worry about fuel for 1 or 2 of those green-white checkered attempts. I think we have up to 3 attempts. So that might be when the numbers need to start getting crunched, and you might have to save yourself just a little bit extra. But as far as everything else goes, everybody on the same fuel strategy within 2 laps or so. So if anybody has to come down pit road, I believe you'll see everybody making just a quick stop. And looking at the timing and scoring as everybody gets doubled up, Rick Seaburns, Cody Neagle's going to be on that front row. Mark Mann, James Muir right in behind. Luke Underwood, Dave Rosenblatt, Wes Ho going to be the first driver with 4 fresh tires there in P7. Scott Thompson on his outside. Bob Leclerc and Don Ashton going to be the top 10 as they run. Robert McRae, Adam Kilikowski, Jeremy James, Brian Booth, David Overstreet, Alec Karen, TJ Floyd, and Jason Foskey going to be the 18 drivers on the lead lap when we get that one to go. Just kidding, we got that one to go last time by. So those are our 18 lead lap cars, and those are the 18 drivers that could potentially win this race. Going to take that green flag because Barney in the flag stand letting them know it's time to go. And some of those front row drivers, they didn't quite go. A little spin in the tire action from that 6 truck.
Quick little wiggle there by Rick Seaburns and Cody Neagles. They bounce off of each other, and the field races their way into turn number 1. This might be the first time all night where we've seen the outside line with a slight advantage entering turn 1 on a restart, but it's not going to last too long. That shorter distance for Rick Seaburns is going to pay off. Nagels, though, he's got a great draft push from Mark Mann right behind there, going to shoot down the back straightaway, and here he comes. Cody Nagels trying to retake the race lead. He's got drafting help from Mark Mann, the 95 machine James Mayer right on the back bumper of Seaburns, but it's not enough. Nagels drops down, and now David Rosenblum helping Mark Mann. He's going to try to push Mann to the top spot as they enter turn number 3.
Things about to get spicy, and that Frank's Red Hot truck down on the bottom side. He was all over the back bumper of the Ford truck. Caution flag going to fly, though, for a little bit further on in the back. You can see everybody getting slowed up here towards the front. See if we could take a peek towards the back of the field. I'm not seeing anything. Might have been Alec Karen in the 81 truck off the pace. We'll see if we can take a peek at the U.S. Racing Designs instant replay.
Yeah, I've seen a few trucks in the back of the pack starting to spin and slide around here. We'll get a look at it on the replay here. Entering turn number 3, we're focused on the 81 truck. It looks like it happens right below him. And as I mentioned again, Paul, that apron, those sharp turns, getting down into the corner. A couple trucks beneath the 81 of Alec Karen get into that apron. They shoot up the track, get into his left rear, turn him around. They also made contact with James Pileski, get into Jason Foskey, David Overstreet, another one of the guys that has had an absolutely brutal night tonight. He has been taking a punishing. They all find themselves spinning and crashing going into turn number. Once again, eliminate some green flag laps for some of these guys to work with in order to make their night magical here at the iRacing Superspeedway.
Earlier on in this race, you can make those mistakes and get down there. We saw it happen numerous times where drivers would get down to that apron, hit it a couple of times, and really just upset the truck, move up a lane and a half, and it was perfectly fine. Unfortunately, when you get down to single digits here in any super speedway event, that real estate is no longer available. There were 2, 3 wide up on top. So when you hit the apron and you drift up just that little bit, you bump into the one driver, he bumps into the other 2 that are potentially on his outside. So this is one of those deals where you really have to have your head on a swivel. It helps out having teammates because they can almost spot for you from different areas of the track and different areas from the grid. And you can see the lights still on the iRacing pace car, but these guys are already lined up 2 by 2 all the way through. They know it's time to go. They want to get up towards the front. They don't have to worry about fuel just yet. Just taking a quick look. There are a handful of drivers that came down about 10 laps ago, and there are 5 laps left here in this one. So good to the checkered. I don't think we've seen anybody make better than 16 laps all night long, though. So, I'm going to be running that calculator pretty big. Well, I'm not going to be running the calculator. I suck at math. Somebody else is going to, one of my teammates is going to have to run the calculator for me to figure out if we're good at this one. And do you try and save with 5 laps to go? Do you try and save a little bit of fuel, or do you just hammer down and see what she's got?
Well, I think at this point, these caution flags have helped these guys save some extra fuel just in case we do end up in overtime situations. So I really don't think that fuel is going to be a factor at this point anymore. It's more so going to be, can these guys keep it together for the final 4 laps and get it to the green? or get it to the checkered fully under green flag, or are we going to find ourselves under caution yet again and extending this race beyond its normal race distance? We are going to go green this time by, so 4 laps to settle it out in regulation. Cody Neagles did enough to get himself the race lead. He was tonight's pole sitter. He finds himself back at the front of the field now. Mark Mann in position number 2 in the Wrangler number 04. Rick Seabrands is 3rd. David Rosenblum position number 4. And it looks like James Mayer in the number 95 machine will complete the top 5. Here we go, Paul. We're going to try it once again. Pace car headed to pit road. 4 laps to go. Neagles, Mann on the front row. Green flag about to fly. And there it is. We are back to racing here at the iRacing Super Speedway. A pretty even start amongst our front row, but Cody Neagles quickly jumps to an advantage. Good push from Rick Seabrands. James Mayer doing the same to him, and they'll race off into turn number 1, trying to go nearly 4 wide in the back of the pack.
It almost looked like Mark Mann got through the gears just a little bit too quickly up on that high side, taking a little bit of time to get that momentum rolling in the Batman 04 truck. You can see a couple of trucks sliding on up in front of him. He may try and get up. Oh, big time contact, Hogue around, taking the 04 out as well. Caution flag going to fly with 4 laps to go. You made mention once again, the green flag laps starting to dwindle on down. Things are going to be get difficult here with less laps to kind of get this thing rolling.
Cautions breed cautions, and we've got late race drama filled with cautions right now. Unfortunately, Wes Hogue and Mark Mann getting the brunt of this one. We'll take a look at the U-House Racing Designs instant replay, and as they came off of turn number 2, add another tally to the victim count from the apron. This time it's Wes Hogue. He got it coming off the corner. They were out of the corner. He was on the straightaway, but still, even on the straightaway, Paul, that apron is very, very dangerous. He got those left sides on the apron, made some contact, got sideways, and unfortunately spun up to Mark Mann. And it goes to show just how quickly things can change on these super speedways. Mark Mann, he restarted on the outside pole, dropped back to about 6th place in less than half a lap, and unfortunately now he's at the tail of the field because of the mistake by another one of his competitors.
Yeah, 100%. We just got done saying that you can make that mistake early on in this one where there's a lot of drivers really just kind of taking their time, 1-2 file, or 2 wide rather. But when you get down to the single digits, there are cars and trucks there all over the racetrack in each and every one of those grooves. So you hit that apron, drift up just a little bit, you'll end up bumping into somebody. And unfortunately, you see exactly what happens when that comes to fruition. But that's going to jumble things up towards the front. Still Rick Seabrands in the 4 truck up front. Cody Neagles very, very strong all evening long in that number 6. He's going to restart P2. James Mayer in the 60 or the 95 rather. Frank's red hot ride down on the apron, trying to save a little fuel there. Luke Underwood in the 21 truck. Bob Leclerc, how about that? The 42 truck up into the top 5 for the first time this evening. Dave Rosenblum there, P6. Adam Kolakowski in the 45 truck is in the mix. He is P7. Scott Thompson, Robert McRae, and Jeremy James going to round out the top 10. And are we seeing some pit stops toward the back? Indeed we are.
Yeah, you might as well take a shot at it, right? Put some extra gas in it, bend out the fenders a little bit, maybe even strap a couple new Goodyear Eagles on underneath of you. Give yourself an opportunity for something crazy here, just in case chaos erupts out in front of you. We got about 6 trucks or so onto pit road towards the back of the field. I think at this point, Paul, we are looking at an overtime situation, so we'll get an opportunity here for at least our first attempt to go overtime. Now, it's very important to make mention here. For those of you that are familiar with the NASCAR world, typically if you're able to get that first lap in and the caution flag comes out on the white flag lap, the race is over. Well, that doesn't happen in iRacing. Once the white flag is out and the leaders take the white flag, the caution flag will not come out no matter what. Every single truck could end up upside down on their roof, over the catch fence, it doesn't matter. The caution flag will not come out. So it's kind of a 2-part race. It's a race to number 1 to get to that white flag, so that way you know that you're going to get a green flag finish. And then, of course, it's the race to the checkered flag, so you can try to get yourself that victory. Now, the interesting thing with this restart is with a lot of those guys coming down onto pit road right there, this restart is going to be a majority bottom line restart. There are not going to be a lot of trucks on that bottom line because all of those trucks that pit, they have to restart on that inside. They don't get lane choice. They don't get to go to the outside. They just go to the tail end of the of the longest line, which ends up being the bottom side of the track. So this could be at a disadvantage for those guys that are on the outside right now. We'll have to see how it plays out here over the restart.
You can see lined up behind the pace car 2x2 lights, I believe, are still on. Or are they off? I think they're off. Yeah, we're coming to green. 2x2. No. They're still on. They're still on. These drivers want to. They want to go. They absolutely want to take this green flag and see what they've got. White knuckle here at this point, and just making mention, we've had the quickie cautions all night long, and we're very quickly approaching the 2-hour mark in this race. And I know, like, you hear it all the time with sim racing. It's not physical. It absolutely is. The steering wheel that all these drivers are using, it's got the force feedback. You're focused for 80 laps, 200 miles for the entirety of this one. And we, even with the caution flags, having to come down each and every time to get fuel at the very least, and sometimes tires, you don't have any downtime. You can't just kind of stretch the arms out or stretch the shoulders out or anything like that, or even talk strategy with your teammates rather. It is all go all the time, and that is absolutely by design here in the Liberty Racing League. These drivers know everybody else has the exact same setup underneath the hood. Everybody's running the same chassis. It's all driver, it's all teammate, and it's a little bit of luck. You got to sprinkle a little bit of luck on top of it, because we've hit on it a couple of times throughout the show here this evening. Is you can control what your truck does, you can control what's inside your helmet, not necessarily able to control your surroundings.
No, that's very true. And now you're going to put yourself in a situation where you're truly at the mercy of the field more so than any other time in the race. Everybody wants to win. Everybody's going to be aggressive here. There's no more holding back. You don't have the opportunity to do that. You have to go. You have to try to find a way towards the front of the field. And sometimes, as we've seen over the last 15 or 20 minutes, that leads to chaos, carnage, and calamity. So here we go, folks. The first attempt at an overtime finish here at the iRacing Superspeedway, the Liberty Racing League. We are NASCAR truck racing here, and we are trying to determine a winner in this event. The pace car will hit pit road. Our first attempt, 2 laps to make it around. If they can take the white, we will get to the checkered. But if they crash on the first lap, they're going to re-rack them and try again. Rick Seabrands in control. Cody Niegels on the outside. The two of them so close, they make a little contact, they fire, and they are away. Seabrands will clear with the help of James Mayer behind him. Cody Niegels leading the outside line. He needs some help from Luke Underwood before they drop down into turn number 1. Underwood about half a truck length off, not quite helping them out. Seabrands out to a clear advantage into turn 1.
34 truck of Rosenblum did not go on the outside line. You saw him drop back in the 34 truck. He's got that bright green spoiler. Not going to be a factor in this one unless we get a big wreck, and we might get that big wreck. Look at these guys, slice and dice. Seabrands holding on to it. A big push from that 95 truck of James Muir. Underwood is there. Leclerc and Niegels still in the top 5.
Oh, a little bit of contact in the middle of the field there. Everybody keeping it clean and green going into turn number 3. Seabrands leads the way. Mayer in second, and he's got a bit of a gap now. Riding on board with Rick Seabrands. It's all clean and green out of his front windshield. He is trying to get to the white flag, get that Yeti's Coolers truck to the start-finish line. It looks like they're going to do so. 3 wide in the back of the field. White flag here at the iRacing Superspeedway.
Last lap here in this one. The Liberty Racing League did not disappoint. White flag, white rag, heading on down into turns 1 and 2. 2 wide for the lead, 3 wide for second. Contact, leader around. There it is.
The big one, half the field is into the wall, all kinds of carnage, and we're wrecking again! The rest of the field is crashing off of turn number 2. Who in the world is at the front of this thing? I think it's Cody Niegels. We mentioned him all throughout the night. He has been practicing different runs, different strategies, different scenarios. I'm not exactly sure how he was working on wreck avoidance up to this point, but he's got the opportunity to hold off the 81 of Al Karen. Looks like there's only 3 trucks involved here. They're all at the top of the track. Who's going to get here first? Niegels trying to block Karen. Karen to the outside. Down to the inside. Is it going to be David Rosenblum? They're all together and they're crashing. Niegels spinning across the line. Did he beat Rosenblum? I don't know. I generally do not know who it was. No, that was Adam Kulikowski. Adam Kulikowski in the 45 machine, not David Rosenblum. And it looks like, Paul, he did get to the line first.
What a finish. That right there is what it's all about. That right there is textbook super speedway racing. What an absolute banger of a race. We're going to give it a minute for timing and scoring to figure it all out, and we're going to get official word here from Race Control, and we're going to back up and take a quick peek at that wreck, those multiple wrecks. Here you can see they're crashing at the line, or coming to the line. If I could get this to go slow motion without breaking everything, I would, but it doesn't seem like it wants to work. There you can see the 81 and the 6 are, we'll back it up one more time. Tough to call. It looks like Neagles, according to timing and scoring, won this race, I think.
I don't think he did, Paul. I think this is Adam Kulikowski's victory. It looks like, to me, on timing and scoring, it has him at 33 thousandths of a second. We're going to get a great look at it here. The 81 and the 6 come together. The 34 truck, he did. The Valvoline 34, Adam Kulikowski, he's able to nip the spinning Cody Neagles at the line. What a dramatic finish that was. The contact happened off of Kulikowski's front bumper. I'm not exactly sure who moved which way to cause it, but hey, if he did, he found a way to get the two guys in front of him to crash into each other. He sneaks to the outside line and is just able to nip the 6 of Cody Neagles for the victory. What a crazy finish that was, Paul.
100%. I could already see you're down there with Adam in victory lane.
That I am. Adam, my goodness, what a wild final lap there. The vast majority of the field comes to carnage. There's only 3 of you left to duke it out down the front straightaway, and then we get some more carnage off of your front bumper. What in the world happened there, and how were you able to pull this one off tonight?
Man, I couldn't even tell you. That's crazy. I was literally in the back, just watching everybody knock each other out, weaving, dodging, trying to get a little momentum, and then coming down the straight. I'm actually watching the replay now. Man, that's funny. 6 and I don't know who the other car was. Looked like they got into each other. I tried to split them and clear the path.
We saw a lot of guys struggle with handling tonight. I made mention at the start of the broadcast that staying off of the apron and the sharp angle of these corner entries being very, very challenging to handle. And a lot of guys bouncing off the apron, getting into each other, and that caused a good portion of the crashes here tonight. How difficult was it from behind the wheel to handle these trucks at this racetrack?
I don't know how difficult it was. That it was unforgiving if you were on that line, and I did that myself a few times. Just trying to get used to the track. This is a new track for me. This was the first day out on that. So just getting used to where you had to put your entry. I think you had to be up about a half lane coming in, and it smoothed that out quite well once you did that.
Well, whether you managed to do it the best or not tonight, you were the one to cross the line first. It's a victory. It's a playoff berth. How does this change your strategy moving forward throughout the rest of the season?
I think it's just about accumulating points. You just trying to get as far up in the standings as you can. Obviously, the win, gives you a little bit of confidence that you have a spot now as long as you stay in that top 20. But it's a really competitive field. Been a lot of fun racing with these guys. When we race clean, it's a good show, but sometimes it doesn't happen.
Just got an opportunity there to see that avoidance on the back straightaway. Hit the apron, was able to clear the carnage, and it led to the victory. Adam, who makes it happen for you here with this Valvoline machine?
I just want to thank the Wes for running the league. These guys have been wonderful to me. A lot of fun racing with everybody, and just out here trying to make some friends, I guess.
That's your race winner here tonight, ladies and gentlemen, at the Liberty Racing League iRacing Super Speedway. It is Adam Kulikowski claiming the win, up 15 positions from his initial starting spot tonight, and he claims the checkered flag. The guy that started at the front of the field is with Paul, Cody Neagles. Probably, arguably, the best truck of the night. He was that close to getting the victory. I'm sure this is going to be a tough one to get through here, Paul.
100%. Cody Neagles very, very strong in that 6 truck all night long. Led a bunch of laps early on in this one. Really seemingly had the truck to beat. What did you see through your windshield? What did you see through that rear view mirror coming to the checker?
Just looked like bad decisions, and it really looked like it started up front when a car looked like came down across Rick's nose and set off, wrecking about half the field. I hate to see a finish in like that. I was able to benefit from it a little bit because I was getting hung out, but I just don't like races finishing like that. You know, you like to see the good, clean finishes, and hopefully next week we can kind of clean it up a little bit and maybe give a little bit, I guess.
Yeah, 100%. Just taking a look at that final lap replay, you see you can see the checkered flag in the hand. There's no trucks in front of you, and then you start to see Sullen on the wheel, just going back and forth, and trouble with the contact, the 81, everybody else in behind, and just a wild finish here at the iRacing Super Speedway. But at least it's not damage we have to pay for. I guess there's that much, right?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, if we had to pay for the damage we caused in this race, I think we would all be bankrupt.
100%. Got to give you the opportunity here to thank anybody that's out there watching here. Cody, floor's all yours.
Yeah, I want to thank you guys for broadcasting VidaneTV. Thank Wes and everyone at Liberty behind the scenes that makes it happen. I was running alone tonight, but I think my main teammate Baker is going to be back next week. He's spotting for a couple of our drivers, Daniel Falkingham and Caden Diedrich, in the Road to Pro. So he said he was going to be gone a couple weeks, but back next week to try to stay within striking distance and points. So I'm going to be looking forward to having him back. NBG Motorsports, Bryn Real Estate, Icon Apparel, and all of my friends and teammates over at Nightmare as well.
Hell of a run in that 6 truck, just a little bit short towards the end. Solid run for Cody and Eagles in that 6. Cody, congratulations.
Thank you.
And we'll slide a little bit down on pit road. Kyle, it looks like you've caught up with a meatball sub.
That I have, and that meatball sub probably trying to find its way to put itself back together after that final lap. Just taking a look at things from your perspective, Alec, my goodness, you had to get through both of those last lap crashes just to have an opportunity at the victory. And unfortunately, there's a third crash that you are a part of. You end up finishing in third place tonight. What's your reaction to everything that you just went through?
Yeah, I was just trying to stick to the 6 because I knew he had a fast truck all night, and then chaos just happens in front of me. I didn't get to see any of it because I was on the 6's ass the whole night, or the whole time. And then the second crash happened, and I got a little bit of damage on that, which slowed me down a little bit. And I was hoping to just be able to get the run off of 4. And then me and the 45 met in the middle, and chaos ensued.
We saw kind of a unique line out of you guys going through 3 and 4 there. All night long, the bottom side has been the place to be. But you guys ran the outer groove through 3 and 4, and then you stuck to that outside lane coming off of turn 4 to try to make the move fairly early on the front straightaway. Looking back at it now, do you think that was the best thing that helped you give yourself the opportunity for the victory, or would there be something different that you would have done now looking back on it?
I think following in the 6 tracks was my best bet, just because I got a little bit of left front damage, so I wasn't sure how much of a parachute that was going to be if I went into the air on my own. I probably would have tried to go underneath instead of the outside coming off of 4 next, if I could redo it, but I was just trying to side draft as much as I could.
Sometimes all you can ask for is the opportunity at the victory. You certainly had that. It didn't come up well for you, but you're still on the podium, still racking up a decent result here tonight. A third-place finish. Who helps you make it happen with your number 81 team?
That'd be APR Motorsports. I got my buddy Brady who makes my paints for me. I've got my dad who helps support me with it. Yeah.
There you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Your podium interviews wrapping up with the third-place finisher of the 81 Budweiser Chevrolet Silverado of Alec Karen. All 3 of our podium finishers involved in quite a wild stretch down to the finish on the front straightaway here, and it's Adam Kulikowski to pick up the victory. He secures his playoff berth, and he will race for a championship later on this season here with the Liberty Racing League. Paul, as I mentioned earlier on, we saw a bit of a mixed bag tonight. We saw green flag runs, we saw some carnage, we saw just absolute chaos erupt on the final lap there. It gave us that classic super speedway exciting finish that we all hope to see. It puts the driver in victory lane. It puts him in the playoffs. We move on for another one, man. What a good night and what a fun return. It's been, like I said, been a long time since I've been able to sit next to you in the booth here for a VidaneTV broadcast. We were treated to a fairly entertaining show, all things considered.
Oh, you're absolutely right, brother, and you did not miss a beat as long as it's been. Great to have you back in the booth here at VidaneTV. Hope to have you back for many more races, and this was an absolute war here tonight. I know there's a lot of drivers that are a little bit ticked off outside the big red truck, but I can tell you, I had a knock on the door here in the spare bedroom at the Hogue Airbnb, and Wes opens the door. He's drenched in sweat, and the only thing he said was 17th to 2nd to 17th. It's a long night. Everybody's fried. Deep breath, take a look at the replay, take a look at the video on demand over on the YouTube page. This race right here was an absolute banger. A lot of left turns, a lot of straightaways, just like Bizzle said there in the chat. Got to thank everybody for tuning in here tonight on VidaneTV. A little bit of coverage of the Liberty Racing League. We've got ourselves another playoff berth and one more driver that's going to try and get that championship belt at the end of the season. For everybody here at VidaneTV, everybody in the VidaneTV booth, and everybody racing in the Liberty Racing League, we will catch you on the flip side. And when we do, we are going to be doing it live.